G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR. For today's video, I'm going to take a quick look at a bloke who I'm locking into my midfield going into 2021. He's 23 years old, coming into his prime, an absolute contested beast, and of course I'm talking about Clayton Oliver. He does come with a pretty hefty starting price, but look at that average from last year, 122.2, and I think he'll be another wonderful selection this year. So I'm going to show you some numbers and explain why I'm so big on the pig going into 2021. So we all know that the SuperCoach scoring system really tends to reward those contested type players, and that's Clayton Oliver in a nutshell. The great thing about Clary is that he's got a really clearly defined role. We know what's expected of him week to week. He's going to be an inside midfielder attending the large majority of CBAs, and unlike other midfielders, we've got no concerns with him spending large chunks of time up forward. He's really good at what he does, and that's what he's going to be doing from week to week. What I've done is here, I've looked at 3 categories from 2018 up to 2020, categories that I think are really important for good SuperCoach scoring, particularly as a midfielder, and they are contested possessions, clearances, and tackles. So we can see that Clary rates in the top 10 over the last 3 years in each of these 3 categories. And if we skip to 2021, he's rated first overall on average for contested possessions, first for clearances, and then 7 for tackles. So that is a great SuperCoach recipe for some really nice scores. So let's have a look at his scoring output from last year. As we can see, some huge numbers there. We have a look at round 8, 177. A couple of rounds later in round 10, a 205. Followed by a couple of 137s, 100, 134, 130. He has a huge ceiling. When Clary goes big, he goes really big. The other thing we look at there is the games total. So 13, 22, 22, and 17. He's actually a really durable player. That was a little bit of a surprise to me because I know in the last few years that he's had some off-season surgeries. I know a couple might have been on his shoulder and maybe a couple of minor little niggles there. But looking at those games played total, he's actually a really durable player also. Now, the other really great thing that Clary has going for him is that he roves to Max Gawn, the #1 ruckman in the comp, and they have a really good synergy with each other and a really good understanding. Gawn is the #1 man for effective hitouts, and isn't it a surprise that Oliver is the #1 rated midfielder for clearances, a match made in heaven. So what I'd love to see Clary work on next year is having a greater scoreboard impact, maybe kicking 5 more goals on his 2020 total. That'd be terrific for him. The second thing is to improve his kicking efficiency. He's never been known to be a great kick. Sometimes he just throws the ball on the boot, but these things happen as an inside midfielder at times. But if he can maybe, raise that by 3 to 5%, that kicking efficiency, that'll certainly go a long way to improving his scoring output. And last thing there is that kick to handball ratio. We know that he loves to handball, but maybe if he can take a little bit more time, look to get it on the foot, and obviously use it well, then that would also help his output for next year. So in summary, I say lock away the pig. I think he'll be a really consistent scorer from week to week. We know he's got a huge ceiling, capable of going 200 plus, ranks elite in those categories that I mentioned, a contested beast, and best of all, he's got the best ruckman in the competition in Max Gawn, feeding it down his throat. I think Melbourne as a team will be on the rise next year, and I don't think there's any reason not to select this bloke in your starting squad. So my advice is lock away the pig and reap the benefits of this massive ceiling that he has and this great scoring potential. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.